then that Gastrodon is really going to be unchecked. So there are a lot of different ways these teams can match up, and it's really not guaranteed for either player, which should be awesome to watch play out.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so many questions already that I'm curious.
I know, right?
Like, I also want to know if this is G-Max Snorlax, since that is allowed, and I don't think we haven't been able to watch any of his games, so maybe you guys in chat can actually inform us whether it is G-Max Snorlax or not. It'd be really cool to see that here.
Yeah, I haven't seen the reveal of the G-Max Snorlax yet personally. I've been asking around a little bit during our break, but it's also possible that the people I asked missed it, so who knows?
So, let's see. Yeah, I love the team comp. I think, like, Darmanitan is definitely the most intriguing option here. The other thing I'm curious about is whether there is the ally switch there on the Dusclops, because if there is, we're going to once again have ally switch mind games. It seems like, like Shoma and Ryota both brought ally switch on, their respective teams. So I have to wonder if Dusclops has it as well, because it is a pretty common ally switch user. You can, there's so many good moves it gets, like you were talking about this earlier. It has Trick Room, Pain Split, Will-O-Wisp, Nightshade, ally switch, and even more. So you definitely got a lot of options onto it.
Yeah, I mean, Indeedee also gets access to ally switch, so there might even be two of them. which also could be really interesting, because if Naoto decides to go for that kind of strategy, maybe it's the Dusclops game 1, and then maybe it's the Indeedee game 2.
Alright, so we should be getting started very shortly. I think the players were given the signal to begin, so I think they are about to challenge each other. But thank you guys once again for those tuning in. Of course, this is the top 4 of the Victory Road World Championship Invitational. We're featuring the 2015 World Champion right now, Shoma Honami, who went undefeated in his group. 3-0 in terms of best of threes. He went 6-1 total in terms of games. He's going to be going up against Naoto Mizobuchi, who just won the most recent World Championships, but got top 4 in the world in 2015 and 9th or 10th all the way back in 2010. So two really legendary Japanese players with some really cool teams as well. I think I expect to see a lot of Shoma's team after this, because it is similar to that Drifloon Tapu Lele team he brought back to the 2017 Invitational tournament. I expect it to really make huge impact on the metagame.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And shout outs to all these world champions for taking time out of their day, nights, depending on time zone, to stream this with us. It's been an amazing time, and yeah, hopefully these trainers will just get into it real quick, and we'll be able to bring you this match soon. Thank you everybody for your patience. Looks like we might be waiting.
Run to the bathroom real quick.
I mean, that is always, you gotta make sure you're in tip-top shape in order to be playing these top 4 matches. I don't blame them.
Yeah, definitely. And for those tuning in, yeah, I think Shoma actually has a YouTube channel. It's only in Japanese, so I mean, I still watch some of his games occasionally because they're pretty entertaining. So I'm actually gonna link his information in chat, so you guys can give him a sub on give him a sub. He's probably, I think he's definitely like the most famous Japanese player in terms of VGC. He's been playing for so long. And obviously a world champion, but also just like a very renowned community figure. So I've linked Shoma's YouTube into Twitch chat, so feel free to give that a follow or check. And then, yeah, I just super hyped for this. I think the Galarian Darmanitan is an intriguing Pokemon. It just does so much damage to everything. But, you have to support it properly. And my question is what kind of set it is on this team. Is it a Scarf variant? Because that, like, it doesn't really fit too well into the Trick Room mode, but you can go with something where, like, Darmanitan exerts so much pressure immediately, where you're pressuring with the KO, like, right from turn 1, making it so your opponent targets the Darmanitan, and then you get a Trick Room while your opponent KOs it, basically. So I really want to know what set the Darmanitan is, because, like, Scarf Ban, I mean, there's so many different ones that really work, and they all hit for so much damage.
Yeah, I'm curious as well. I know that Galarian Darmanitan has really been shaking things up in the singles side of the field, since having double choice band is certainly nothing you want to shake a stick at. But I don't know. It's I'm very terrified of it. I think if on a Trick Room based team, it might be interesting to run it with a Choice Scarf and save it for like your fast, either your fast cleanup Pokemon, or maybe your fast, I'm going to KO the opposing Pokemon that's going to stop my Trick Room Pokemon. But then you do have to be very confident in your ability to either play out or stall the remaining Trick Room. And if it does indeed have that Choice Band ability, in addition to like a choice item, that means you can't run Protect. And I mean, I guess you could put something on there, so maybe the Dynamax version could get access to Max Guard, but you know, it's going to be a really tricky Pokemon to navigate, and I can't wait to see one, if we get that sort of interaction on the field in this game, and two, you know, if we do get that interaction, just what kind of Pokemon this is. Hopefully we'll get some indications of what item it's holding, all the moves it holds, all that good stuff.
Yep, so it looks like the other top 4 matches already started. I will link Twitch again, once again. There are only 2 channels at this point that you really need to be following, I think, to watch the game, so I will link one here. I believe we have 2 different streams going on, one on the main Victory Road stream and one on Wolfie's channel. So feel free to follow along with both games. Yeah, Wolf and Sejun just started their match, and I think, yeah, Shoma's back from the bathroom, so we are ready to get this top 4 match kicked off. I am so excited.
Yeah, same here. It looks like we'll have to wait for the rules selection stuff to go through first, but, you know, we are on our way to the top 4 match here. Naoto versus Shoma, or excuse me, Ryota versus... No, that's Naoto. I'm sorry.
You had it right the first time.
I did, but then I second-guessed myself. Naoto versus Shoma, 2 former world champions from Japan. This is going to be such an exciting match.
Yeah, I really expect some great game plan. I just love the dynamics of the, you know, Trick Room versus Trick Room. But, you know, Shoma is going to be a little bit less committed to Trick Room, whereas Ryota kind of needs it, I think, for him to really be able to do much. So let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, and also the match of the Trick Room setters, you know, Bronzong versus Dusclops is something I haven't seen in a very long time.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. This is like, that's like a
match
matchup I'd expect to see maybe back in like 2009, not here in 2020.
I know, right? It's the most amazing throwback, and that is honestly one of my favorite parts of UGC 2020, is like, there are so many times where I see a team and I'm just like, oh my god, it's like we're back in insert ancient year here, and I'm still serious about competitive Pokemon, and I can bring back all my favorites, and it's so great.
Alright, so looks like both players are getting into the battle. They are selecting their teams. For those that are maybe not watching the other game, Wolfie and Sejun is down to the last 2 Pokemon on both, or Sejun has 2 Pokemon, Wolfie has 1 Pokemon, Passimian is out, and Sejun just knocked off a Assault Vest on Wolfie's Excadrill.
Okay, that is pretty hype. That is pretty hype.
Yeah, Wolfie's got a bunch of boosts off from Excadrill Dynamaxing, but Dynamax just ended on Excadrill's end, so yeah. I would show you guys the game, but I think we're like about to literally get started right now. So here we go, top 4 between Shoma Honami and Naoto Mizobuchi. Let us know in the comments who you guys think is going to win. Of course, Naoto running a dedicated Trick Room team, whereas Shoma going for kind of a Rain Room team with Togekiss and Dragapult as well.
And we'll see how these trainers decide to take on these leads. As Naoto puts out his Pokemon first, it is the Indeedee and the Galarian Darmanitan, and then the Rhyperior and the Togekiss from Shoma's side of the field. So both players have access to Follow Me if they want to go for it.
Yeah, so not too surprising to see. I think like both Follow Me users are so essential in this matchup, but really interesting dynamic here, right? Like Rhyperior coming out without the Bronzong, but for good reason. I think it just is protected really well by Togekiss, and you know, you can go for a relatively free like Follow Me, but the thing is, if you both trade Follow Me's here, Darmanitan will just be able to presumably knock out the Togekiss with like an Ice Punch. However, this turn, you know, Rhyperior is definitely in a position to get a lot of damage off, and it is pretty well protected. I also have to wonder if Rhyperior can actually one-hit KO the opposing Indeedee with an attack. If not, then Indeedee can maybe go for another Follow Me the following turn.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that's going to play out as well, because you have to wonder also what attack Rhyperior is going to choose to use here. Will it go for the Rockfall and maybe try to get Sandstorm up in addition to, you know, maybe dealing some more damage to that Darmanitan if we don't see a Follow Me? Or will it go for a ground-type attack and just try and get the special defense boost up so that Indeedee won't be able to deal as much damage if it decides to go on the offensive? For now, this Rhyperior will be going for the Dynamax immediately turn 1, so that health boost it'll get from the Dynamax will definitely come in handy, because Shoma switched out his Togekiss and sent in the Bronzong. So there is nothing stopping Naoto from hitting that Rhyperior with a very powerful attack and activating the weakness policy. So I think Rhyperior had to Dynamax to take that. Indeedee following up with a Psychic type attack of its own, getting a stat drop, probably special defense if I had to guess. And Rhyperior going for the max ground move into that Darmanitan for the immediate knockout.
Yeah, so really aggressive play there from Naoto. You know, normally Rhyperiors do carry weakness policy, so he just went for as much damage output onto the Rhyperior as possible, and that is still really hefty damage. After the special defense drop, Rhyperior was able to, you know, get the special defense basically back, so I don't think another Psychic from the Indeedee will actually knock out. So no follow me there, which, you know, normally I think we'd expect to see, but does get Gastrodon into a pretty good spot. And looking at the, you know, team that Shoma brought, he just doesn't really have very much for the Gastrodon. A Gastrodon Dynamax, after getting even a single boost, is so difficult to take care of. So yeah, Naoto going straight for the offense there, but if you look at Shoma's team, Rhyperior is the Pokemon that is going to Dynamax a lot of the time, so if you're able to, you know, chip away so much immediately, that puts you in a pretty good spot. Right now, Indeedee's still able to support with Follow Me as well. You have potential to go for, you know, Helping Hand as well. You can go for another Psychic as well, so now the question is, how fast is Gastrodon relative to Rhyperior? Does, you know, Bronzong go for a Trick Room, or does it go for something like an Ally Switch we saw that it has?
Yeah, I think if Shoma's Rhyperior is optimized for Trick Room, you know, running the most, I guess the smallest amount of speed possible, it's very likely that this Gastrodon will outspeed. And because the special defense boosts were essentially neutralized due to the Psychic special defense drop, that could be huge. But it looks like
he missed.
Rhyperior is able to dodge an attack from that Gastrodon and go for a second Max Quake, this time targeting down the Gastrodon itself and returning a KO.
I mean, absolutely critical miss there. If Rhyperior gets hit there, gets knocked out. And yeah, I feel like Naoto just wins from there. So that was an absolutely critical miss. I'm not sure what attack that was, actually.
I was just wondering if it was Muddy Water. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of Muddy Water from trainers in this tournament, and I believe that's one of the only Gastrodon gets that can hit both Pokemon on the field. So, yeah, Muddy Water indeed.
Naoto does not look phased in the slightest, though. He looks like, honestly, it looks like that's what he was planning this whole time. I mean, he didn't even end up bringing Trick Room into this match, which is really interesting. No Dusclops, so I thought he played that really well, but just an unfortunate miss. Yeah, it looks like it was Muddy Water, as the chat is confirming. So, interesting to see how many players have opted for Muddy Water on their teams today. Like, that's not an attack that I've seen too much in the metagame, and like a lot of the Japanese players have opted for it on their teams today. But that's a game-defining miss, to be honest. I think if Rhyperior gets KO'd there, then Naoto still has his Dynamax up. Gastrodon's still at full HP, and it was a Life Orb Dynamax as well, which was really cool. But now, just really tough spot to be able to come back from, because Gastrodon's so important in this matchup.
Yeah, and Indeedee is unable to pick up the KO on that right with the Psychic Terrain boost of that Psychic type attack. A Max Quake will be enough to pick up the knockout. Oh, nope, Focus Sash revealed on that Indeedee, so down to 1 HP, but this Rockfall will set up Sandstorm and pick up that KO at the end of this turn. Bronzong going for a body press into that Snorlax, bringing it down to just about 30 to 40% of its health. And it looks like that Snorlax is going for a recycle, so it will get its berry back. It will immediately be able to consume it. But with the likely 2v1 on the field next turn, I don't think Naoto has an out with this Snorlax, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even get to Dynamax or Gmax this game, and maybe he can do it with Snorlax now, but perhaps a little bit too late. I think Gastrodon was probably the Pokemon that he wanted to Dynamax or Gmax in this game, and that miss was just absolutely critical. This feels like one of the games where it's like, that one little bit of RNG really just changes the dynamics completely. I think had Muddy Water hit, this would have been so different, because I'm not sure Shoma even had much to deal with the Gastrodon, given that it looked like he didn't bring Ludicolo into this matchup.
Yeah, I think that if that Gastrodon had been around or allowed to remain on the field a lot longer for that Dynamax, that would have been a crucial turning point in Naoto's favor. But, you know, boosts like Muddy Water are high risk, high reward. Yes, the benefit of being able to target both Pokemon with a powerful water type attack is huge. Those accuracy drops are amazing, but it will miss. That's just the unfortunate way the cookie crumbles. Earthquake from that Rhyperior. We do see the confirmation of Levitate on that Bronzong, and that picks up the KO on Snorlax. So Shoma wins game. Oh, nope, I lied. One more body press for that KO. But Shoma still will go on to win this game 1 of this top 4 match.
That was not how I expected this game to play out. And, like, Trick Room didn't come out on either end in the end. But, you know, I like what Naoto was going for there. I mean, he set himself up to knock out the Rhyperior and just maybe potentially sweep with the Gastrodon, but once again, just like a really huge Muddy Water miss there onto the opposing Rhyperior. So, yeah, I think I like what Naoto went for here. I mean, you went for an aggressive read. The downside is that if you're going to proc the weakness policy on Rhyperior, you need to make sure you can knock it out. And, you know, 15% of the time, he's going to miss that Rhyperior. So,
yeah.
Naoto didn't even bring the Dust Globs, but I kind of like that decision. I don't think he absolutely needed it. Body Press's damage output against Snorlax was really impressive, though. It was doing, like, over 50% or so. So I think that's something Naoto has to be aware of as well.
Yeah, that was absolutely ridiculous that Bronzong, a Pokemon that is not known for attacking prowess, is able to threaten a Snorlax that badly.
Yeah.
I really do like, though, how Naoto didn't bring Trick Room on his side of the field. I think that's a viable option when you're recognizing that your opponent does have a Trick Room mode and that they could, bring Trick Room of their own. I mean, since Shoma didn't bring that Ludicolo, I think that's a huge indication that he was not planning on relying on the Swift Swim, the rain mode of his team.
Yeah.
And instead relying more on the water or the rain that Pelipper brings to the field, just as like a defensive kind of play.
Yeah, and I think like we were able to see Shoma's selection there, so we saw he didn't have Ludicolo, but you know, Naoto still has to play carefully with that Gastrodon. I do expect to see NDD definitely again. I think Gastrodon's an absolutely critical Pokemon in this matchup as well, so you know, the big shakeup for Naoto is, does he actually end up deciding to bring Trick Room this time around? Because if you can knock out the Rhyperior, then Trick Room is actually pretty good, but the difficulty in bringing your own Dusclops is that it doesn't do much damage, and if Shoma brings Bronzong, which I think he almost always will into this matchup, he'll just be able to reverse Trick Room at any given point, so it's a bit harder to rely on it. So I like how Naoto, despite running a hard Trick Room team, didn't end up relying on it. It's just, unfortunate Muddy Water miss, so I think, like, he played well, and he set himself up to really just, get a big knockout onto Rhyperior and then go for Dynamax, but that was a match where he lost so much momentum by missing, like, he effectively lost the game, because there was no one else to really Dynamax or VMAX.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Naoto's going to bring that Indeedee again. We didn't see it go for Follow Me. We only saw it go for those Psychic Terrain boosted Psychics, which, I mean, it certainly helped out, and I think that having the threat of the Follow Me on the field is really important to acknowledge, but, I don't think that damage is what you want to go for. I think you need to try and redirect things away from the Galarian Darmanitan in this case, as we see the same leads going into Game 2, so that your Darmanitan can get those KOs and can sort of make up for the fact that Indeedee, those Psychics were important, but they weren't really as effective, I think, as Naoto wanted.
That's a great point, yeah. I think, like, the fact that Ice Punch did so much damage to Rhyperior, but then you just trade the, the Darmanitan for the, 50% of damage onto Rhyperior, and then it was still worth it, I guess, for Naoto, because what he was setting himself up for was a Muddy Water hit to KO, but I think, the tough thing is, if you're worried about Ludicolo in the back, because you don't have Rindo Berry on the Gastrodon, we saw that it had a Life Orb, like, Ludi will just be able to one-shot you, so I think, like, Naoto wanted to play with the NDD, saying, okay, I don't want you to actually knock it out because I want to support it properly with Gastrodon, so wonder if Shoma just goes for the same play, and Naoto goes for the same play as well, because I think it would work out decently for Naoto. This time he just needs to hit the Muddy Water.
Alright, well,
Helping Hand, no Dynamax!
NDD. No Dynamax either, as the Bronzong switches in for the Kiss, and Galarian Darmanitan is left Ice Punching, presumably, into that Rhyperior slot.
Wow.
So that was very different.
Yeah, completely different from both ends. So no Dynamax early, but now Bronzong in a pretty good spot. I like that play a lot from both ends. I mean, if the Rhyperior doesn't Dynamax there, Helping Hand Ice Punch should just get the KO, but I think it's relatively risky to not Dynamax the Rhyperior there. So now Bronzong in a pretty good spot where it can pressure the Darmanitan with something like a Gyro Ball. Of course, NDD here can go for a Follow Me, so for example, you could maybe just go for Follow Me, go for an Ice Punch into the Rhyperior, and then try to snipe it off with the Muddy Water the following turn. One cool play that you can kind of make too is, now the question is there a Trick Room coming in? You still have to worry about Ally Switch as well, which is always terrifying.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, I mean, Shoma could go for an Ally Switch here, and Bronzong would be able to take a Helping-Handed Ice Punch easily, regardless of what items that Galarian Darmanitan's holding. Or you can go for the Trick Room. I mean, both those options are going to be really detrimental to Naoto, especially since we know this Rhyperior underspeeds the Gastrodon. Indeed, he goes for a second Helping Hand into that Galarian Darmanitan, and it is left attacking not into the Rhyperior, but
Ally Switch!
Into the Bronzong, unless Naoto was able to call that, and he did! He called it! But it's not enough for a knockout. it will activate the weakness policy again onto the Rhyperior. So depending on who Shoma targeted with an attack from this Rhyperior, we could be looking at another Focus Sash activation from the Indeedee or a flat-out KO onto the Darmanitan. It looks like Darmanitan is going to be left to attack another day. Indeedee will be knocked out by the Sandstorm set up by that Max Rockfall, however.
I love that play, though. Well, actually, I guess because of Rockfall, you'll set up Sand, so you'll knock out Indeedee. But I like that once again because you, like, Darmanitan is now presumably choice locked, right, into, I think that was Superpower that we went for. Now Gastrodon will come out, and we saw that Gastrodon is faster than Rhyperior, so, you know, one play you can go for here, which is actually really interesting, is Dynamax the Darmanitan to go for Max Flare. But then...
Ooh, that would be interesting.
Yeah, but then I think maybe... I'm not sure you actually get the KO onto Rhyperior with the Sun and Solid Rock. It is Life Orb boosted, so I'm not entirely sure, but, I mean, here you could pretty easily go for Protect Trick Room, and so the question is, can Naoto really deny this Trick Room? And if you do expect Trick Room, maybe you switch the Darmanitan out into your last Pokemon if it is that Snorlax and it has like a Grass-type attack. But here we go, Max Guard, and I do expect just Trick Room.
The Darmanitan's going for an attack into that Bronzong. Not damage, deny the Trick Room. And it looks like the Darmanitan will take some damage in recoil as a result. Gastrodon going for the Muddy Water into the Bronzong and into the Rhyperior. And it looks like Trick Room is activated onto the field. I'm not sure if we just glitched over a accuracy drop there, but if we did, that could be crucial.
I wonder if it was worth it to Dynamax the Gastrodon there, so you go for the Max Geyser to knock out the Bronzong because it's not spread damage. I think that might have been able to get the knockout, honestly. So, yeah, now the thing is, like, Trick Room is up, and you've activated the weakness policy on Rhyperior, and Rhyperior is faster than both Pokemon, so... you can pretty safely Gyro Ball into Darmanitan and just go for Max Quake into the Gastrodon. So for Naoto's then you maybe consider Dynamaxing and Max Guarding, and then maybe switching out. But nope, looks like Darmanitan is just going to stay in.
Yeah, it looks like the Gastrodon goes for a Protect as a Body Press from that Bronzong will be enough to KO the Darmanitan. So this Gastrodon will be taking some chip damage from this Rhyperior, but I think the important thing to call out here from this Max Quake is not only will it deal a lot of chip damage through that Protect, but it also gives that Rhyperior a special defense boost in its stat as well, which is going to make it harder to knock out, even though it is already in the red. That was a critical hit for whatever that's worth, but that still does so much. Weakness Policy is such a good item.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Naoto just hasn't been able to Dynamax or Gmax in either game, honestly. I mean, that was an insane amount of damage against the Gastrodon. So now I wonder if Snorlax can pull something off. Is there something like a Belly Drum? I mean, both of these Pokemon are relatively low. I'm not sure Snorlax can actually one-hit KO the Rhyperior. Maybe a high horsepower will be enough to get the KO. Bronzong can still threaten with Body Press. You still have to worry about Ally Switch as well, and this might not be a bad time to Ally Switch when you're so far ahead. Yeah, once again, I don't know. I'm not sure, like, activating weakness policy so early on just means that Rhyperior is pretty much guaranteed to get knockouts on every turn. So, yeah, early lead for Shoma. Trick Room is up, so, yeah, now I have to wonder why. You're going to definitely Dynamax this time around with Naoto, and, like, this time you're more healthy, but you're probably going to Dynamax, I don't know, I mean, if you Dynamax Gastrodon, like, is it able to get an attack off before Rhyperior moves? Is there going to be an Ally Switch? First of all, who's Dynamaxing here?
I think that was the Snorlax, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm just going to wait to see what gets big. It is going to be the Snorlax, and
okay.
It's
It is Gmax Snorlax, okay.
All right, so we got confirmation on something a lot of people were wondering about. This is the second of two Gigantamax Pokemon featured in this tournament. As this Gmax Snorlax is immediately going to go for the Gmax Replenish.
Oh, that doesn't KO!
It doesn't KO. It would have given Gastrodon an opportunity to recycle a berry if it's holding it, but instead is able to hold on through the Body Press. But this Earthquake from the Rhyperior on Shoma's side of the field should be enough to pick up the KO onto that Gastrodon. So it's really just going to be this Gigantamax Snorlax versus all four Pokemon. Again, all four of them on Shoma's side of the field. So a little bit different than game one, but it's still just the Snorlax versus everything else. And I'm not sure if Snorlax can power through the remaining Pokemon that Shoma has in the back.
Yeah, definitely not without at least like a Belly Drum boost or even a single Curse. I mean, we saw how much even the Body Press alone does, so I mean, Shoma can play this game in so many different ways and he'll be able to win, but masterful play here. I think the matchup was really rough for Naoto because, like, you have a Trick Room team, but your opponent has something that's slower than your Pokemon. Like the Rhyperior was slower than Gastrodon, but this game demonstrates how good Dynamax Rhyperior is. It's so powerful, it's so bulky, and this time around, I think like Shoma played around it quite nicely as well.
Yeah, you have to be afraid of it, and I think that's why Naoto prioritized getting the KO onto the Rhyperior versus the Bronzong. Even though the Bronzong is going to be able to do some nice damage with that body press, it'll just activate the berry on Naoto's side of the field, and he should have one more turn to go for the G-Max replenish and hopefully recycle that berry. It's going to be a chance. It's not a guaranteed recycle, but it's something, and I feel like that's the best thing you can take right now if you're in Naoto's position, unfortunately.
Yeah, the thing is, we know there's Yawn on Togekiss, so it's pretty free to just, put the Snorlax to sleep, essentially waste its G-Max, and then go from there. You can even go for Follow Me here, but I guess, theoretically, G-Max Snorlax can still maybe pull this off because there's not that much damage from things like Togekiss and Pelipper in the back, so if you're able to, consistently heal up your berries, that's alright, but, I mean, here, you can either just go for Follow Me Body Press, maybe just like a Yawn and a Body Press. I'm not sure if Snorlax can even knock out the Bronzong in the range that it's at. So, if there's any Pokemon that could maybe pull a 1v3 comeback, I guess Snorlax is one of it. And here we go. Oh, it's Max Flare!
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think the G-Max Replenish would have done it, but a Max Flare definitely will. It also has the benefit of setting up the sun, which, I mean, could be helpful depending on how these last couple of turns are going to play out. I believe Togekiss did go for the Yawn this turn, though, so it'll be down to the Pelipper and the Togekiss on Shoma's side of the field against Naoto's Snorlax, which it's going to lose its G-Max very shortly, and I think Trick Room's about to run out as well, so we could see some well-timed Hurricane Confusions make things a little bit more difficult. I think it's still in Shoma's favor, but Naoto, I don't think he's out. It's going to be very close.
Yeah, I think if he had one more turn of G-Max where he could have reset the weather, then maybe, but now the thing is, you can safely go for, like, a Follow Me here, or even just Dazzling Gleam because you know that you've got the Focus Sash on the Snorlax, so might as well just go for damage distribution. A single Confusion would also really ruin things, but the main thing here is, without the berry anymore, you'll survive here, and even if you recycle, you're just going to get put back to sleep, so masterful play from Shoma.
Yeah, so I believe it's one Hurricane to win this, and Shoma still only dropping one game in the entire tournament, moving on to finals against Seijin, I believe. So that is going to be a incredibly exciting match. But congratulations to Naoto as well. Such a fun team that he brought to this tournament. I'm glad we got to see the G-Max Snorlax make an appearance because I think that is a Pokemon we're going to be seeing a lot as we move into the 2020 season proper.
Yeah, the main thing is I feel like in these games, like Shoma just got so much more out of his Dynamax than Naoto did. Like, Snorlax really G-Max at a point where the game was pretty much over in that second game. In the first game, there was practically nothing. I mean, man, had Muddy Water connected, it would have been a completely different game. But I think Shoma, really great awareness this